is point 3 of my 4-point interview framework. Man, this one is so simple, but sometimes so hard to do. In every interview, you gotta ask great questions. And I suppose the best way to start that is let's kind of back into it a little bit, kind of reverse engineer. What is not a great question? In an interview setting, any question that's answered with a yes or a no, I would classify as not a great question. And it's a trap because we start so many questions off with do and this sort of thing, or is that this, or is that this other thing. If it could be answered with a yes or a no, man, that is a conversation killer. It's just a drag. Questions need to be built around how, what, when, why, where, and who. Some people call them open-ended questions. But some examples might be something like, I've read the job description. I'd like to know a lot more about what your expectations are for success in this role. For example, if you look back a year from now, after this hire happens, what are the top 3 or 4 things you want to see accomplished that's not on the job description that really define success? You could ask old standby, tell me what a day in the life is like around here. What's it like to work here? How does it feel to be a part of the team? Whatever it might be, dive into it. And it varies from interview to interview and interviewer to interviewer, company to company, opportunity to opportunity. But think of it this way. Asking great questions, and they're not hard to formulate, but asking great questions is your opportunity to demonstrate your intellectual curiosity. Now, when we hire people, one of the traits I look for, and there's a bunch, I look for resourcefulness and resilience. I look for integrity, that is to say consistency. But one of the big ones is, where are they at intellectually? Do they know the right questions to ask? Do they know how to get to the answer? I want someone to show me how they do it. I want to understand how someone problem solves. I want to understand how someone looks at a problem. Well, how do you do that? You listen to the kind of questions they ask. Think of it this way. You go on a date, and you're talking to the other person, and you say, I think, or you look outside, for example. It's a great way to say it. It's really stupid, really. As you look outside, wow, this grass is green. Do you agree? Is it green? And the person you're with goes, yes, the grass is green. Conversation is over because neither of you are learning about one another. And until you get yourself in a position of vulnerability, of being open, of being transparent, you're not going to learn much more than whether or not the grass is green. So, asking great questions is so important. And again, it'll vary from interview to interview, but you have standbys out there. Don't bother, especially first interviews in a professional or executive setting, don't bother talking about compensation, benefits. None of that stuff really matters until you've established interest on both sides of the equation. Ask great questions to help drive that. Now, a corollary to this is at the end of every interview, almost invariably, you're going to be asked some form of, do you have any questions for me? Number 1, shame on the interviewer for asking a binary question. Number 2, the wrong answer is no. Don't ever say that. I don't have any questions. No. Okay, interview's over. Conversation stopped, and that interviewer most likely thinks that you're not interested. Okay, how do we get around that? You always have 2 or 3 questions in your back pocket. Now, you could have those saved. You could have generated those along the way, driven by your curiosity, another great thing to show off. But have at least 2, maybe 3. If you only have 1, it could lead to a feeling of disinterest on the interviewer relative to how they see you. If you go 4 or 5 questions, I've been in situations where I've scratched my head and wondered, did they listen or did I do a poor job explaining things? So stick to 2 or 3, and I think you'll be in great shape. And remember, it's a conversation. You want that interviewer doing 60, maybe 70% of the talking. So you've got to ask questions that generate that, and you have to give answers that either resonate with them or at least give them room to continue the conversation. And that is point number 3. You got to ask great questions.